Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Chris McPherson Show Daily Dose. And my, oh my, we thought that day one of the first Ashes Test was some day of cricket. Day two has absolutely taken the mantle. It said, hold my beer, you've got 19 wickets. We'll see this. We'll see 11, and then we'll see an Australian innings that has not been matched or paralleled in such a long time. Travis Head was absolutely the star, but there's plenty to unpack before we get to his wonderful century that steered Australia to victory. Australia resumed after trailing significantly overnight, needing something as a minor miracle with one wicket in hand. Unfortunately, they added only a few more runs, just 9 runs added through the combination of Doggett and Lyon before they were dismissed, all out in the end for their second innings for 132. Trailing by a deficit of 40 runs, England much stronger, holding the upper hand. And a wonderful, as we said yesterday, innings from Ben Stokes with the ball, 5 for 23 from his 6 overs. The final wicket fell, and England then set about building an insurmountable total. And it certainly looked like, despite the early wicket of Zach Crawley making a pair, falling to a caught and bowled to Mitchell Starc in the first over again, taking it to 25 times that Mitchell Starc has taken a wicket in the first over of an innings. Well, then all of a sudden they put their heads together. Duckett and Pope combined and started to put some runs on, and England started to push forward. All of a sudden they were in a pretty strong position at the lunch break as they continued on building this lead. They were 1 for 59 at lunch, a lead of 99 runs, and it looked like it was time for England to bat Australia out of this first test and make a momentous blow in an attempt to win their first Ashes test on Australian soil in quite a time, let alone also make a dent in this series and maybe, just maybe, a chance to claim the Ashes on rival soil. It was all within their control, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. Very quickly after lunch, Ben Duckett departed. Not long after, Ollie Pope and Harry Brook went in the same over. Joe Root went before any more was added to the score in the next, and all of a sudden 3 wickets in the space of 5 balls, and England were in a world of hurt. They went to 5 for 76, and then it was just a struggle from there. A few little cameos, including Gus Atkinson's better than a runner ball 37, did add some respectability as they charged their way to 164. Gus Atkinson, that last man to fall in the 34th over, meaning that 35th over, England had batted just under 70 overs for the match. 68 overs was their total batting. Probably a question mark over their batting and what had happened there, and it certainly then started to take a toll. They did, though, set Australia 205 to win. The big question mark, though, and we'll touch on it later, is what did the short turnaround do for the English bowlers who are not used to this workload? But still, 205, you would think, where teams had scored 164, 132, and 172, well and truly defendable. Well, what they didn't count on, an injured Usman Khawaja, meaning that, again, he didn't open the batting. This time, Jake Weatherald had a new opening partner, and it was Travis Head. And Travis Head got going from the get-go. He was not going to muck about, and he got things absolutely rocking and rolling, showing all of the intent in the world. Head ended up with 123. That's right, a century. Almost as many runs as his team scored in the first innings. He fell late on the day with barely a score required for Australia to win. He did all of the work, 123 from 83 balls. He set a number of records, equaled some others. Most sixes by an opening batsman in an innings of an Ashes test. That was 4 of those. 69-ball century was the equal third quickest Aussie test century, and it was the fastest century in the 4th innings of a test. Absolutely phenomenal numbers. He was not mucking about. He got going. He kept on going. Jake Weatherald was a good accompaniment early before he fell to score 1 for 75 after just 11.3 overs. You would have thought we were playing T20. Absolutely phenomenal. Head was the next to fall, by which point 2 for 192. Australia needed just 13 to win. Come to this crease is captain Steve Smith. Marnus Labuschagne then got absolutely going to fire things home with boundaries, bringing up his 50 with a 6. 51 from 49 deliveries. Absolutely phenomenal. 6 boundaries and 1 6 to add to it. A great knock for Marnus. And the question is, we know that his Shield form's been wonderful. Domestic has been great. But is this the confidence he needs to build on and continue to try and dominate the English as the Ashes goes on? Some will say it will be. Only time will tell, but it's certainly going to build confidence. The Aussies got it done very comfortably in the end on day 2, and this became the second shortest test on Australian soil by number of deliveries. A phenomenal display. It was enthralling cricket, but the question marks sit on it. Some of the things that have been dished up by both these sides at different points of their batting, did it do justice to Test cricket? There are plenty of fans that would say no. There are plenty of fans that would say it was edge of your seat, not look away, excitement-based cricket. Is that not what we want in terms of being fans and bringing in others to the game? There'll be plenty that will talk about the legacy, the spirit of cricket, and 2-day tests are not it. But at the end of the day, this was a decent pitch to bat on, as Travis Head and Marnus Labuschagne showed in his second innings. Harry Brook made runs in the first innings for England. It wasn't impossible to bat on. A lot of poor shot selection, a lot of rushing, a lot of rushes of blood, I guess, for both teams, and some quite good bowling at times too. Let's not discount that. There were certainly times where the pitch was too pace, and that created challenges for both sides. But I don't think that you can take too much away from a well thought out game. But again, Bazball comes home to roost. And on that note, it looked quite clear in the second innings. Jofra Archer's pace was down. They weren't quite firing where they needed to be, the English. They were starting to really struggle for plans that contained Travis Head. And I think a big challenge for this English side is the fact that their bowlers get no respite, no rest, no chance to turn around and get back to their peak. Their batters need to do themselves a service for their bowling unit. They need to give them time. It's one of the age-old traditions of tests, is that you go and bowl your heart out for 30, 40, 60, 80 overs, and then you get the best part of a day to rest. Your batters will go to work. You might come in and chime in with a little bit of runs late, but unfortunately, because of some of these collapses the English have suffered, again here, a game where they had opportunities, their batters have failed, and then it's put pressure on not only their bowlers to short turnaround in the bowling, but also to do the heavy lifting with the bat. And it's just not on. It's just not cricket, to use the parlance. So they need to do some work. It means that they are going to have to go back to the drawing board ahead of the second test, but that's going to be a question for Brendan McCullum, the man who ironically holds the record for the fastest test century. So where does that take things? Well, it takes us on to the second test for the Ashes, that is for certain. We're looking forward to it. It is not that far away. The 4th of December, the day-night test at the Gabba, the pink ball, what could it dish up? We remember at the Gabba, it's not that many years ago, only a few years ago, that it was a 2-day test again there. So lots of question marks over both sides. The injury to Usman Khawaja, how serious is that going to be? Will we see Hazlewood or Cummins back? The likelihood sounds like Cummins might be a chance, Hazlewood less likely. Khawaja, we'll wait and see. But all that we do know is that we now have plenty of time to ponder this, because we have 3 days that were scheduled for Test cricket at the Perth Stadium that will not be featuring Test cricket. For the English, what do they look at? They've got players in that squad that they can bring in, but are they going to make a difference? Zach Crawley's got to be under pressure. Another pair for him. Certainly not looking good. Harry Brook, Joe Root both showed some promise, but not enough. Ben Stokes is bowling alone. The captain will continue. Jofra Archer, Mark Wood, how long can they stand up to this workload? Archer was really tight in the first innings, but Ben Stokes, his captaincy, his bowling unit had absolutely no answer for Travis Head. No matter how tactically they went about it, it was so unusual to see where at least one of the bowlers didn't at least manage to constrain a batsman in full flight for some stage of the innings. But hats off Travis Head, hats off to Mitchell Starc. He ended up with an absolute showing for this test, and it was a dominant win in all for Australia in a game that looked gone at different points. It was such a seesaw, such a roller coaster. Starc got 10 wickets, Head with his century. Starc, the official player of the match. You could argue the case for both, but what a test, what an action-packed 2 days out of Perth. We have been robbed of 3 days, but we've been absolutely blessed with more action than you could poke a stick at in 2 days. So if you haven't already, make sure you hit subscribe down below. We'd love to have you back on as we preview the third test. We'll be talking F1 tomorrow. We've got a rugby union watch along in the morning, as well as France play host to the Wallabies. So there's plenty more sport where we will be covering and featuring now that there's cricket lulls happening with no more tests from Perth. But of course, as I said, less than a week till the second test gets underway. We can't wait for that. It's going to be an action-packed ride from here. But in the meantime, a big thank you for you for tuning in. Make sure to hit subscribe. Follow us along on social media. At The Chris Mack Show is where you can find us on each of the channels. And we'll talk to you again soon on your home of the black and white of sport. No grey opinions here.